Hulk
Talk about
Hogan passed away on Thursday at the age of 71 years old. On Thursday morning, TMZ reports that WWE Hall of Famer and perhaps the most famous wrestler of all time, Hulk Hogan, passed away at the age of 71. Emergency responders were dispatched to Hogan's Clearwater, Florida home early Thursday morning following a report of a cardiac arrest. Multiple police units and EMTs arrived at the scene, and Hogan was transported from his home on a stretcher. There had been rumors about Hogan's health for weeks, with his wife's guy denying several of them, including one allegation that he was in a coma. She said that his heart was quote unquote strong as he continued to recover from multiple surgeries. The rumors, which originated from Bubba the Love Sponge, who is a former friend turned lawsuit rival of Hulk Hogan, and he claimed that Hogan was on his deathbed. At the time, sources close to him stated that he was simply experiencing complications from a neck surgery he had undergone in May. Hogan's wife Sky Daly, as well as friends like Eric Bischoff and Jimmy Hart, downplayed how bad things were. Either way, Hogan had been dealing with complications from his neck surgery back in May. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports, according to someone close to Hogan, things weren't as bad as Bubba had suggested, but they also were worse than the public statements issued by his friends and family were. Hogan's health went downhill in the past week, and he was no longer able to speak. He hadn't been seen in public for a while. Another source said that there were other medical issues that he was dealing with after neck surgery. They added Bubba pretty much had legit info the whole time. Basically, what happened with Hulk was they took him out of the hospital and made a hospital in his house, as there wasn't much left they could do. When Jimmy Hart said that Hogan was okay publicly, privately he was telling Hogan's friends and former friends that things weren't good, but to keep it quiet. Hogan was treated at Tampa General Hospital, and he had a renal failure and fluid overload at the time, along with severe COPD, chronic obstruction pulmonary disease. COPD is a long-term disease that affects the lungs, making it difficult to breathe, and includes conditions like emphysema, chronic bronchitis. Smoking usually causes it, but those who don't smoke can get it as well. It's said to be a leading cause of death in the United States. Hogan, born as Terry Bollea, helped revolutionize professional wrestling in the 1980s and 90s. Helped it go mainstream during the rock and wrestling era. Hogan became a household name through his charisma and colorful promos. He famously turned heel in 1996 to form the New World Order, the NWO, igniting another wrestling boom for wrestling. The two-time WWE Hall of Famer had memorable matches with legends like The Rock, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, and many more. His last match was for TNA Wrestling in 2012, in which he teamed with James Storm and Sting against Kurt Angle, Bobby Roode, and Bully Ray. He was also an actor, appearing in films like Rocky III, Mr. Nanny, as well as the TV show Thunder in Paradise. He even had his own reality show on VH1 called Hogan Knows Best. Recently, he launched an amateur wrestling league with Eric Bischoff called Real American Freestyle, set to debut August 30th. Hogan was also a controversial figure following the release of a secretly recorded video containing racist remarks. He later sued Gawker for publishing the tape and won a highly publicized legal battle. He also made a controversial appearance at the 2024 Republican National Convention in support of Donald Trump. Hogan's fall from grace marked a pivotal moment in wrestling's reckoning with racism and accountability. As one of WWE's most recognizable figures, his removal sent shockwaves through the industry when he was removed from WWE completely in 2015 following the release of the tape, and raised questions about how organizations respond to misconduct by high-profile talent. He was later let back into the family of WWE years later. There was also the leaked phone call with his son Nick Bolea. Bay News 9 uncovered additional racially charged comments from 2008 jailhouse phone calls between Hogan and his son Nick, who was serving time for a car crash that left a friend permanently disabled. In one call, Hogan used the N word and made stereotypical remarks about race, further complicating his public image. In fact, he told his son, despite his son doing something horrible, he said, at the very least, at least we won't die and come back as black people. Most recently, Hogan was part of the new Real American Freestyle promotion, along with Eric Bischoff and others. Hogan's name was part of the promotion's branding. RAF will be holding their first event on August 30th. Hogan was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame on his own in 2005, and then as part of the NWO in 2020. Fightful Select reports that in response to readers asking how WWE would handle the matter, they asked around and were told he would be highlighted as normal and was part of the WWE family. The report also adds that at the time of Hogan's passing, there were no solid plans to have him featured on WWE TV following his controversial appearance on the Raw on Netflix premiere in January. The report makes clear that this doesn't mean that they never would have. It simply means they were not active plans to do so in the future. TMC reported that emergency responders were dispatched to Hogan's Clearwater, Florida home early Thursday morning. Multiple police units and EMTs were on the scene, and they were said that it was immediately described as a cardiac arrest. WWE also released a statement. WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away, one of pop culture's most recognizable figures. Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. In what was surprising, well, not that surprising, but it's one of his first statements since his whole lawsuit. Vince McMahon issued a statement on Hulk Hogan's passing. The former WWE chairman posted a statement to Twitter paying tribute to Hogan, who helped him launch WWE into the stratosphere with Hulkamania and the Rock and Wrestling era. He wrote, "The world lost a treasure today. Hulk Hogan was the greatest WWE superstar of all time, someone who was loved and admired around the world. He was a trailblazer, the first performer who transitioned from being a wrestling star into a global phenomenon. His grit and unbridled thirst for success were unparalleled and made him the consummate performer. He gave everything he had to the audience, whom he appreciated, respected, and loved. He leaves us with one of his favorite expressions: train, take your vitamins, and say your prayers. Today, we pray for him." In an interview with TMZ, another one of Hogan's colleagues, Ric Flair, got emotional discussing the death of his friend and stressed that they were never enemies in real life. He said, "People tried to portray us as enemies, but we were actually very close friends. We kept up with each other on a regular basis. I just talked to Jimmy Hart yesterday and he was fine. To have this happen is just horrible. We were always friends. I'd probably be remiss to say that I was jealous of him because he was making so much more money than me. It had nothing to do with him, but I never had beef with him. Never. I loved him. Everywhere we went, we drew money. We had a connection. And ever since then, I've kept up with him. I've been out to his bar to do karaoke. Everyone wants to take a shot at Hulk, but he doesn't deserve it. Everyone makes mistakes." Sting, Kevin Nash, Donald Trump, and Rob Van Dam were among the others who sent messages to honor Hulk Hogan after his passing. Nash wrote, "I lost another brother. Icon doesn't even touch it. Rest in power, my friend. NWO for life and beyond." Sting, who had a feud with Hogan in WCW and TNA, also wrote, "Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all. Can't thank you enough for all that you did for me and for wrestling fans all over the world. I loved you and I will miss you. My friend Terry Bollea, RIP." Our president, Donald Trump, posted to his Truth Social site to write, "We lost a great friend today. The Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, was MAGA all the way. Strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. He gave an absolutely electric speech at the Republican National Convention, and that was one of the highlights of the entire week. He entertained fans from all over the world, and the cultural impact he had was massive. To his wife, Sky, and family, we give our warmest, best wishes and love. Hulk Hogan will be greatly missed. Real American Freestyle, which is the amateur wrestling promotion he started, also released a statement saying that today we lost our commissioner, we lost a friend, and the sport of wrestling lost one of its greatest champions, not just in the ring, but in spirit. Hulk Hogan believed wrestling was more than just entertainment. He saw it as a brotherhood, a proving ground, and a platform for greatness. That's what Real American Freestyle was built to be, a new stage for the toughest, most passionate athletes on earth. Hulk was at the center of it. From day one, he threw his weight behind this league. He met with athletes, he watched tapes, shared stories, and showed up like only he could. Real American Freestyle was personal to him and something bigger than all of us. This league is part of his legacy, and we intend to honor it. In a reveal, it was with all the tribute supporting, details of a Netflix docuseries have also materialized via Hollywood Insider. Writing in his newsletter for Puck News, Matthew Bellani revealed that the Netflix series was quietly being worked upon with hours of interviews with the late star already recorded. The series was partway through development, although has no release date as of yet. Stokely also recently confirmed that he had been working with Hogan and sharing his thoughts in an Instagram post. He says, I only got to know this man over the past 6 months, and yet somehow today's news was still an emotional gut punch for me. I've talked to many people who have strong feelings about Hulk Hogan because of his very public and sometimes controversial life, but the man I got to know was also a thoughtful, caring, passionate human being with many layers. Hogan was the founder of Real American Freestyle with Eric Bischoff, and they confirmed that the plans for the promotion are still going out there. And Hogan leaves behind his daughter, Brooke Hogan, who hadn't talked to him since 2023. She confirmed this week, and son Nick Hogan, as well as his wife, Sky Daly. So, gave you all of that to give you a full round of everything. You needed to hear everything to kind of absorb it all and get your own opinion. Now, as far as my opinion, I think that Hulk Hogan may be the most polarizing professional wrestler of all time because he is both of these things. He is the biggest and most important and most famous professional wrestler that has ever lived. If it wasn't for him, wrestling in the United States would not be on a national scale. Before Hulk Hogan was launched as the star of the WWF, it was a very regional type of business, and he made it go national and went global because of that. His importance to WWE and the rise of that promotion cannot be quantified. He is all of those things. He was responsible and viewed as the cornerstone of the boom of the 1980s with the rock and wrestling era. And he's also very important to the boom of the 1990s, because if he's not the third man in the NWO, who knows if WWE is forced to go outside of their range and create the Attitude Era and stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and everything that came because of that. Hulk Hogan's importance to pro wrestling, you cannot talk about pro wrestling without Hulk Hogan. There would not be wrestling podcasts in a lot of ways like us that are from the United States without Hulk Hogan and what he contributed to professional wrestling. All of that to also say he is also a disrespectful, unapologetic, racist piece of shit who never really apologized for the hurtful statements that he made about people. And I did mention it in that whole diatribe about his controversy of what he said. And in case you weren't aware of what he said in that famous leaked comments, his racist rant, I will say, and I quote, I'd rather if she, talking about his daughter's black boyfriend, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some nigger, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot nigger worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking nigger. Fuck him and the horse he rode on. All of that is the same. Both things can be true, ladies and gentlemen. So, regardless of how you feel about it, if you are mourning the loss of Hulk Hogan, that is okay. If you just want to view him as Hulk Hogan, the professional wrestler, that is okay. If you feel differently, you do not need to comment and try to change that person's mind. But also, if you are smoking on that Hulk Hogan pack this week, and you feel differently and you're mourning the loss and you want that person to mourn the loss, you shouldn't do that either. Let's all respect how people feel about the passing of Hulk Hogan, because it's going to put out a lot of polarizing emotions. So whoever wants to go next, go ahead.
I guess I'll start. Very well done and very well said, by the way, SP3. You covered a lot of ground, a lot of bases. And I messaged y'all last night because I was like, why is this so minimalized? This feels so non-important. And it's based off of literally, it took 10 years. 10 years of a lack of accountability is what, and it's like, it's more hurtful to wrestling fans, and it created an anger to wash away basically what was our childhood wrestling hero. Like you said earlier, like, wrestling is not what it is without this man. The world of globalized, like, pay-per-views and WrestleManias and SummerSlams, Royal Rumbles, WWF Superstars, the cartoons, the movies. That was the vision that we had growing up as kids. So we had all of this growing up. And at the unfortunate time of us becoming adults, we were privy to this thing called social media. And when a report and when things go out like this, and mind you, this is 10 years ago. 10. This is a decade. You know how many times people try to repair, fix, and try to have some level of accountability for something they've done that was not good in the light of millions and millions of people. And mind you, millions of Hogan fans are Black minorities. And when you get that statement, the one that you read, that is a true feeling. That's a feeling. That's not like some kayfabe statement. That's not some, oh, he's trying to cut a promo. That was genuine emotion. So it's like, what was he looking at when he met me in person? What was he looking like when he met SP in person? Like, were we just some useless niggers that's just giving him money? And to say we're all a little racist, it's like you're trying to take your power and bestow it upon people's brains because you have this level of influence. And to not say any level of apology at all, and only used ever the times of I'm embarrassed. There was no accountability for over 4,000 days. That is 4,000 plus days of us remembering this, feeling this. Like, what are we? What are we? Like, and this is a whole side of society. And it hurt. Like, it hurts, right? When you watch somebody from 6 years old, 10 years old, 16 years old, 20 years old, and you're like, my dream as a fan is to meet this man. And then when I meet this man, and then you find out what you get years later, it's like a piece of your heart just kind of goes away. It's like you become so filled with hurt, it just becomes rage that can never go away. It can never go away. And for somebody so important, this should have been the biggest day for fans to mourn in the history of professional wrestling. This should have been the most monumental day in the history of professional wrestling. This is something that everyone, this should have almost kind of been like a cult outsiding of people just outside with signs and celebrating and cheering all across the globe. This shit was just news yesterday. This shit was just news because of the stain that you left on the name that you built. You left such a unrepairable stain to people that will never forgive, and it's rightfully so, because our colors ain't gonna change. We're not gonna be able. We can't just change colors, and it's like everyone that is some type of person, and to say to I'm like, when we die, we're not gonna come back as black people. He literally doubled down on it. Like he doubled down on it,
and he didn't feel sorry at all. Like it was no remorse.
It's like it is a big fuck you to all of us. And despite what anyone feels, people are hurt by his comments. People are hurt by what he's done. And that's why everyone is so fucking upset. It's because of the pain that he's caused and the irreparable damage that he's caused. And if I can't sit here and be like, yeah, I don't feel a certain way. Yo, this shit was a blow when I saw this shit happen. But it was like, he didn't give a fuck about me anyway.
That part.
So it just goes to trying to restore good even in someone's dying day, but the damage can't out repair everything that he's done. He's done so much bad with his words, it can't take away from the good that he has done and built and revolutionized. Because it's almost like there was a devil that was raising us all up to making us love this culture and all of this. And once he goes backstage, it's kind of like, look at all these niggers buying my shit. Look at all these niggers coming to my show. Look at all of these stupid niggas outside waiting for me. And you can't get past that. We can't get past that. We won't get past that. That's just me. And I'm not saying this to speak on the behalf of Josh, SP, Krssi, or anybody in the chat. Everything I'm saying is based on how I feel. Like, this is my feeling. And it could resonate, and I could be speaking for some people, per se. But this is a result of severe hurt that has turned into irreparable anger. And this will live forever.
Krssi?
Okay. Where do I begin first? Because you guys spoke on a lot of stuff. We've had 2 deaths already so far. And you're like, okay, well, who's the third? Because they say death comes in 3s. I didn't think that it would have been Terrence from Florida. But hey, here we are. And my mother called me because she knows that we love wrestling. And she's like, oh my God, did you see the news? I was like, yeah, I saw it. She was like, I'm so sad. I'm like, why? You don't even like wrestling, Ma. Like, she was like, no, well, people die and everything. I was like, but she's like, why is everyone saying such mean things about him? I was like, oh, so that's why you called me. I was like, well, here's what happened. She was like, let me wipe my fucking face and get off this damn phone because this is ridiculous. Once you explain it to, people that don't watch it and don't know what happened, she was like, the fucking galls of him. And I was like, well, yes. And it's so sad because Hulk Hogan, the character, and Terrence, the person, Unfortunately, we see him as one, but they were two people that was like one-on-one. So he's now Terry has now tarnished the legacy of Hulk Hogan that everyone loved. You can't even hear the song and not like be upset and like not think about like your childhood in the 80s. I had a Hulk Hogan buddy. I had a Hulk Hogan doll. I had everything that was Hulk Hogan. Growing up, I'm an 80s baby. I had all of those things. And seeing him, even though I liked Macho Man more and I would always be upset, but nevertheless, they had more Hulk Hogan stuff than Macho Man stuff. Let's just be very, very honest. He was popular for a reason. He was the all-American. That's why they had the song. This is why they had all of these things. Fast forward to now, we have this era of like now having the internet and having him be on reality TV. Just like Josh said, I think having Terry's Know Best made that downfall. We probably would have seen it anyway, but I think that helped see more of that person of like who he really was, if that makes sense. His wife was a shitty person too, but nevertheless, it's okay. But he ruined something that all of us kids, when we got older, we were like, fuck, like someone that we really, really like idolized and enjoy watching and thought was really, really a big hero. Like he was beating up all of the bad guys. And you come and realize he was a shitty person. He wasn't even really a good ass wrestler. He had one move and it was a boot. And it was like, was he really even doing anything? No. If you go back and watch all of it, then he became on the NWO and you made being a bad guy be cool. And everybody wanted to be one of the bad guys, which was great. But then you go and you really fuck up and tarnish a legacy of what people have poured. I mean, and like JJ said, a lot of black people don't understand. A lot of black people love fucking wrestling. You just see all of the other people, but a lot of black people love fucking wrestling. They loved Hulk Hogan until you realize that he was a shitty person. And not only was he a big supporter of the other side, and he went to their convention and all these things, and you use all of these fucking slogans that people idolize and love, and really found out that you, sir, are not a good person. You are a shitty person. And it really hurts people's feelings that to see, and we couldn't even like really like celebrate your legacy because of the person that you really, really are true at heart. And it's fucking sad because your legacy, you are one of the biggest, like you can say Hulk Hogan's name and a bunch of shit will come up. A bunch of things will happen. He was a movie star. Thunder in Paradise, Saturday mornings, afternoons, you will see Superstars. You will see Baywatch. You will see all of these other shows. And then you saw Thunder in Paradise. You're like, oh my God, Hulk Hogan is on fucking TV. He's acting. No holds bars. Shitty movie. But that was a big thing for us when we seen it. Him beating up Zeus. I had it on VHS. If you don't know what that is, sorry, you should Google
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny, like, come on, like it was a Christmas one he did as well. Like it was a whole, like he did some, like, as kids, we like, oh my God, look at Hulk Hogan.
It was so cool.
He was so cool. You seen him on Arsenio Hall for black people on Channel 9. What? That was a big thing for us. And you don't see big people. Thank you, Falabi. Thank you. That's what we like really, really like loved and seen and idolized. And it's just like all of these things, and it doesn't even fucking matter because you tarnished it. And it's sad. I feel bad for his family. No one can do anything in the time of death. It's really, really bad. But outside of it, you gotta be honest and say he was a shitty person. He was a snitch as well. They could have had unions for the wrestlers, and he snitched on them. You know how hard it is to be a wrestler nowadays, and you're a contractor and you can't even really get health insurance? Fuck you. Because you got all the fucking money. But someone that's like what's the Otis, he ain't got shit. They need unions, but you messed this all up for everybody. They had it all into place. And it's so sad because you were jealous and you wanted everything for yourself. You block people from getting their stuff. You blocking people's blessings. You blocking everything from people. And they don't talk about that part. And that's the sad part. So again, a legacy that's very, very tarnished because of the shit that you want to do, because you want to be the top guy. You didn't want to have other people win. And again, all these people that are saying all of these messages, I cannot doubt that they feel that way. I'm sure that they are hurting. I'm sure. But you have to understand and realize what he said and how his people don't understand words affect things and affect how people think, and they think about those things, and you can't take them back. And you never said you were sorry. You gave it like a subliminal, like, oh, okay. You dumbed down on it, but you were never really sorry. You were sorry that you got caught. That's what happened.
Yeah, he was given the opportunity to talk to the roster when he came back and apologize for what he said, and he told them, "Be careful, because you never know who's recording you."
So you were never sorry. You were sorry you got caught. So you saying those things, you said that with your chest. You said that because you meant it. You felt it. You used that word. When you use that word, we use it all the time. We use it, yes, because we use that. But when he used it, he used it all the time too. Because he said it just rolled off the tongue like nothing. So that's all I have to say about Terrence.
I feel for anyone who's like close to him and they lost their best friend. I feel for his children, his grandchildren. They lost somebody. I totally understand that. But what we're not going to do, and especially what we're not going to do on this podcast here, is ignore the things that he did that hurt people. You know, the wrestling part, that's a whole nother story. That's something that we can actually talk about after this and joke about, because it's funny, a lot of the stuff that he did behind the scenes to snake people and be a backstabber and be a liar, and that doesn't work for me, brother. All that stuff, it's funny because it's wrestling. You know me personally, I always say one of my catchphrases is, I don't take wrestling that seriously. I will talk about things that need to be serious about wrestling. Sure, there's stuff around it that it needs to be taken seriously. But wrestling in general, it's a business that you shouldn't take that seriously. What I do take seriously is the comments and the words that he said that really hateful stuff that he said that hurt people. Not only did he hurt people with the things that he said directed toward them, he hurt people in the fact that he ruined their childhood. This was a guy that opened the door for me to become a wrestling fan. Like, my mom messaged me as I was on air when the news broke when I was on Fightful on Thursday, and was like, "This was your first wrestling hero," and I was like, "Yeah, but he ruined that a decade ago." Yeah. That was my response to her. Like, he ruined that for me.
So your mom was the same way, like my mom. Yeah, she
No, my mom actually acknowledged. She was like, I know he lost some grace for that, and I was like, to make sure she knew what I was referring to, I sent her the quote, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't feel as bad. I don't feel as bad as I did when that news first hit."
She was like, everyone keeps saying, "Fuck Hulk Hogan." Why are they saying it? And once you break it down to someone that don't really watch it or understand, she was like, "I would fuck him. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah." And she'd be like, "I feel bad for his family." Like you said, SB, the people that was around him, his friends, his family. Because again, no one likes to feel a loss of a loved one. That's just point blank period. That's everyone. That's human. However, let's not forget the fact that you were not a good person.
Yeah.
And everyone making these all like pictures and shit of him in heaven. I'm not saying that you could believe or not believe. I'm happy that you believe in a higher power. I do as well. But I wholeheartedly do not think that person is there.
That's what I said. That sign that was in the crowd of "What you're gonna do when the angels come for you." I was like, "Sir, I don't know if we need to have a conversation, but I don't know if those angels, unless you're referring to the angel that fell, maybe
Grim Reapers.
If you know your if you read your Bible, you know that Satan is the angel that fell. But yes, Josh, what was your reaction to this whole thing, and any words you want to say about Hulk Hogan?
I mean, obviously it was shocking just because, you usually when these things happen, you're not really fully prepared for it. And I think a lot of us weren't prepared for it because, we saw him recently doing his tour, doing all that stuff, promoting, his gear and all that stuff. With that being said, I wanted you guys to go first, just because I thought it was appropriate. I think it was appropriate that you guys go first. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm saying that because, one of the things that, you know, when I started doing this podcast and I became full time, is when I had like some of my friends started tuning in, they always thought, they're like, wow, like I think that's pretty cool that you know, like your co-hosts are black. You know, like, you know, it's cool to see black wrestling fans having a platform, and I think that's a good thing, right? So I think, you know, so I wanted you guys to go first. I thought it was appropriate for that reason because of the comments that he's made over the years, and I think a lot of people, the thing is, right, when it comes to Hulk Hogan, myself, I can acknowledge what he's done for the business, right? You know, he basically took wrestling on the map in a sense, right? Because of Vince McMahon believing in him and giving him that platform, and you know, him being a part of big moments too. You know, obviously, like, he became like the big name that became like mainstream, and I think that's why he's you know, when it comes to wrestling, that's why he's a big factor to that. You know, a lot of people will say, you know, I started watching wrestling because of Hulk Hogan. They got into, you know, they were inspired by Hulk Hogan. They became a wrestler because of him. You know, with me personally, I became a fan not because of Hulk Hogan. I became a fan because of Bret Hart. Like, Bret Hart is my number one, and that's how I became a wrestling fan. But as a kid, I did see like Hulk Hogan in a lot of places, movies, TV shows. You know, the biggest thing that I saw him in was Gremlins 2. Like, that was the main thing that I remember seeing him when I was a kid. But he was everywhere, you know, even like those what do you call that? Like the plushie toys, like that big. That is like, I had an Ultimate Warrior one and I had a Hulk Hogan one.
The wrestling buddies.
As a kid, the wrestling buddies. And you know, so he was everywhere. And that's one thing I will never take away from. And I will never use like his success in bad faith. Like, I will never say, oh, Hulk Hogan never put wrestling on the map. He never did this and that, because it's all just not true. So I will never take that away when it comes to his success and the things that he's done. On the flip side, you could also kind of say, maybe he wasn't, you know, like, he was a big part of wrestling, but then he was also a big part of why it almost collapsed in a lot of ways. WCW, once they started getting guaranteed contracts, he was a big part of the downfall of WCW when it comes to financially and them going out of business. And it's just a fact. He goes to TNA, he almost ruined TNA. TNA almost died. You know, they almost went out of business once he got it. You know, he was a big part of it. I'm not gonna blame him fully, but he was a big part of it. So, you know, in two ways you could see what he's done for business, but then you go see where he hurts the business as well. With that being said, the last 10 years of him, because I've never been, I've never been the biggest fan of Hulk Hogan, but the last 10 years were kind of just like one of those things where it was just like, oh, you see, he's proving why I never really liked him. But, you know, in regards to like his racist comments, his racist rants, I think what a lot of people fall short on is, and this is the biggest problem that I've been having with a lot of fans, especially like them defending him, them trying to justify it, or them just trying to like put it under the rug in a way where you have one fan that will say, oh, you know, he made some bad comments and he apologized for it. He never apologized for anything. He never apologized it. And if you could prove where he apologized, I would love to see proof of him apologizing for it. Then you have the next fan that will say, oh, you guys keep bringing it up. Like, you keep bringing up his comments. This is why racism's still around, because you guys keep bringing it up. Racist, we're supposed to ignore that? You're supposed to ignore when somebody says some real disgusting, hurtful shit? Absolutely fucking not. Like, he said one of the worst things you could say. And that's why it's not okay for what he did. And then you have the other fans where they're like, hey, everybody makes mistakes. We make mistakes, right? Which is true. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes every week, whatever the case may be. It could be at work, it could be in our personal lives. The issue is that it's not that we fucking make mistakes. The issue is when we make mistakes, I think a big portion of us, at least myself, I could speak for myself, is that when we mess up, I take accountability for when I
Right.
mess up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm saying this because this is one of the things that I learned from myself when, around the age when I was like about 21, 22, I was going through a deep depression. There's a lot of things that I was angry about. And I always made them like, hey, why is this happening to me? Right? It was a selfish thing on my end. But then when I started reflecting, when I started, understanding how I really felt, there was a level of accountability that I needed to take. Hey, I'm responsible for this happening. I'm responsible for that happening. And because of that, that's why I'm a very big advocate when it comes to, if you mess up, just own up to it. If you
Mm-hmm.
mess up, just take accountability for it. And it's like even recently, I made some real bad comments to somebody, one of our friends. And I was out of line for that. I was joking, but this person was offended.
Mm.
I apologize for it. I apologize to even the group chat. I apologize to everybody if they feel any type of way about it. And that was me taking accountability. That was that person holding me accountable.
Mm.
And then, and I even thanked him the next day. He hits me up. He's like, bro, I love you so much. And I told him straight up, thank you for holding me accountable for what I did, because I didn't really realize how you felt. Right. The thing is, when it comes to Hogan, he's had 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's had 10 years to reconcile. He had 10 years to fix these things. And every single time he had an opportunity to fix it, he probably made it worse. He probably made it worse with his comments. He's probably made it worse with his double downs. Like you said about the recording with his son, saying some crazy stuff like that about, like, basically he even worded it as his biggest fear was to be reincarnated, him family being reincarnated to a black family due to karma. Like, he legit said that, like, that was his biggest fear, right? And my thing is, when it comes to his comments, right? It wasn't just about that he said the N word.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people kind of look at. Oh, well, he's, people say the N word all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had someone try to do a got me to my post where I said it was crazy work. He passed away on the 10-year anniversary, where they screenshotted me saying RIP to Sabu and said, where is this energy? And then they brought up that Sabu once called Taz a nigger. And I was like, should he have said it? No, definitely not. And he shouldn't use it in any type of context. But you're telling me that this is the same context in which Hulk Hogan used that term? No, it's not. It's two different things. Like, you could say, no, he's wrong for that, and he shouldn't be saying that. But at the same time, I can pay tribute to him. But I'm not going to pay tribute to Hulk Hogan because of the context in which he used the terms that he did, and also what he said to his son in what he thought was a private moment. It really show you show your real self when you think you're in darkness, and then that comes to the light, and that shows everybody who you really are.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I've had over the years, where there's people who try to say, oh, he made a mistake. Right? He did this. He had like a slip up. I was like, did you see the quote? That's not a slip up. That is not a slip up. He had it's not only the full rant. He said the word like 4, 5, 6 different times. That's not a slip up. That is not a slip up. And it's the way that he went about it. That is like, I think that's what people need to stop ignoring. It's not that he just said the N word, because we had Randy Orton say the N word, but he didn't say the hard ER. Like, he said it playing around, like he was playing a video game, right? But the context of that is so much different. I'm not saying that, hey, that's okay. I'm just saying that people need to understand the context of why people were upset. People were upset because he said it, and he was angry when he said it. He said it when he was angry off of something that wasn't even his. It was his daughter's relationship. You know what I mean? Like it
And
wasn't.
she's probably and she was and back then when they were, especially on that show, she was around a lot of black people. And they were all doing her music. She was around a lot of rappers. They were all doing her music, but it was okay for them to help her get in a music career, help her get where she needed to go.
Yeah,
But you don't want them, but you don't want her to be with them.
Yeah, and and it's just one of those things.
Really quick for the ones that's asking to why we can't, please just do your research. Do some research.
And in regards to everything else, it's like, again, he had all this time to make up for it. Even when he was reinstated with WWE, he had the perfect opportunity to acknowledge what he did, apologize to the locker room, and he just said, I didn't know I was being recorded. That was his response to that. And Sheldon Benjamin was very open about it, where he got pissed because he mentioned his name. He said his name wrong. Then the way that he mentioned his name was like so out of context, to the point that Sheldon, who never really responds on social media, responded directly to Hogan and basically told him, like, you never fucking apologized for what you said to begin with. Like, you never owned up to that shit. And the thing is that, even more recently, too, is the lies that he would tell. And regardless, his lies are very fucking stupid. Don't get me wrong. They're very stupid. But it's the fact that you started believing your own lies and the way you went about it. It turned people off. Like, you're talking about bullshit about your career, which is like, bro, like your career was filmed 99% of the time. None of this shit happened. So what are you talking about? And it rubbed people the wrong way when it comes to a lot of stuff. And again, when it comes to how he always felt, the perfect example of that, when I talked about he doubled down, tripled down, is the Kamala Harris thing. Right? He made some comments about Kamala Harris, asking, oh, is she black? Is she Indian? What was that about? Like, what's the point of that? If you're going to support Donald Trump, that's fine. But then it's like, you're crossing the line that doesn't need to be crossed. You don't have to like the person, but now, like, you're crossing a line that was like super unnecessary. In regards to like the whole, him being in the Republican convention, to me, I've always been open about that, where it's like, I wasn't hurt about that, or I wasn't like sour about it, because I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that was what he leaned with.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't understand is, why was it a bad look? Because not only he cuts a promo on stage, he used his character. He used his Hulk Hogan character as himself to make the speech. That's why people look at him the way that they do, right? And when in regards to
that's the point that Krssi made. It's one and the same. Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan became the same.
They're one and the same.
Yeah, they're damn near impossible to separate.
It's damn near, you can't separate the two now. Like, he lives the gimmick, like Ric Flair. You are that person. You live your gimmick.
The life as Hulk Hogan. He lived his life as Hulk Hogan.
Right. He's never Terry. Then no one never says Terry, unless you'd like saying Terry Hulk Hogan. I mean, Terry, Hulk Hogan Bollea, but like, they really just call him Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Especially in wrestling, like, that's always the hardest part to separate. People always say, "Oh, separate the artist from the individual." I'm like, you can't do that in wrestling when that's their persona. Stone Cold. He's not Steve Williams. He's Stone Cold. People see him as Stone Cold, and he still presents himself as Stone Cold. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when you see Hulk Hogan the way that he is, that's what people are gonna see. And my point when it comes to all this, when people talk about like, oh, that he made, like, my thing is that when you have somebody that you look up to, somebody that you're inspired by, somebody you're a big fan of, even somebody that you've called a hero, when they don't live to that standards of that you have of them, putting that on that pedestal, you have them at a certain standard and they don't meet that, or you find out, oh, this is how they really feel. How do you expect people to look past that, to look past the bad stuff that he's done? Mm-hmm. And I think that it's one of those things where we can acknowledge what he's done for the wrestling business. And I sure as hell, I've acknowledged it. But we also cannot ignore the bad stuff that he's done. Why? Because he never took accountability to anything. So when you are in a position where you make mistakes and you don't fix it, people are going to harbor onto that. Why? Because of what you did, because of your actions after the fact. Mm-hmm. Again, He had all this time to fix it. He had all this time to even reconcile. Now, there's people. Now, if he even did that, there are people who are still gonna feel hurt and feel upset. At the same time, they have every right to feel that way. But it's the fact that if you make effort, people will eventually forgive you. And unfortunately, those people never forgave him. And you see the reaction when they come to like his people are saying rest in peace. There's people who even they're celebrating his death. I'm not celebrating his death. That's just not me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just not me.
No.
But I'm also not gonna pay tribute to a guy that I really didn't like. I didn't really have real respect for him.
About us.
And that's just how I feel. I'm not gonna be fake about it. That's just how I feel deep down. And I think it's one of those things. I said it. If you're gonna post pictures of him, like you took pictures with him, people who met him, I will never judge you for that because you feel how you feel. The only thing I will say is you yourself have to understand why there's a big outrage when it comes to Hulk Hogan, because again, what he did was just he could have fixed it. He never did.
Yeah, like I said at the top of all of this, you can feel how you want to feel, and no one should question you on it. No one should try to put their feelings onto you. You're gonna feel and you're gonna process this however you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Me myself, I'm not celebrating anyone's death because I think that's completely irrational way of thinking to celebrate anyone's death.
100%.
Correct.
But
it's a celebration of life, not death.
all I can say is the same thing that I said on Twitter. The only comment that I made about it. It's insane he passed away 10 years after that racist rant came out.
So that is on the exact day that it came out?
On the exact day, 10 years later.
July 24th, the exact same day.
Wow.
Like,
if that's not, I don't.
If that ain't confirmation that God is black, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it, right? So, I mean, I tried to do a little digging, and I found like some quoted words as a form of what was the only time that this was acknowledged. This was back in 2015, same time frame. 8 years ago, I used offensive language during a conversation. It was unacceptable for me to have used that offensive language. There is no excuse for it, and I apologize for have done it. This is not who I am, and I believe very strongly that every person in this world is important and should not be treated differently based on race, gender, orientation, religious beliefs, or otherwise. Mm-hmm. I am disappointed with myself that the language that I use is offensive and inconsistent with my own beliefs.
Okay.
How much? So, one, where's the context?
So this was this is this the People's Magazine interview from 2015?
Yeah, People and Yahoo Insider.
So he comments. So basically he.
I think this interview is based on the Nick Bolea jail conversation, because that's what it adds up to. Because 2008 was when that happened.
Yeah. And this part here, they're missing the entire part of what the comments meant and who they were directed to. So
maybe that's why people think he said sorry, because of that article. But he never. But he
never apologized for what came out with the racist rant afterwards.
Yeah. Correct, because people keep saying, "Oh, but he apologized." So maybe he apologized in that moment on that part. Yep. But he doubled down from the original stuff.
Oh, he doubled down on it again. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So with the whole, when we die, we're not going to grow up to be black people. We're not going to be born black people. So for somebody like myself, that is turning, I feel blessed for it. For somebody that's turning 42 years old, the first time seeing this guy on my TV, I was with my brothers, and everybody was pretty much adults already. So it's WrestleMania 4, the tournament, and then getting to see him like and knowing who he is by the Mega Powers explode. This guy is larger than life. So like for me being 5 years old, this guy is larger than life. Like everything that he modeled, that's what I wanted to not be, but be like to a degree. Like I see like so much like everything that is I want to see do like be done as far as positive and saying your prayers and eating your vitamins and being good about everything that you do. And then this is how I go to school. So for somebody like me, this was a very important part of my life. Like no matter what, I'm not going to try to underplay it. This is a very important part. Like this part here was this guy before the X-Men, before Spider-Man, before Superman, before the Incredible Hulk, before these we know is comic book fictional characters. This
Marvel
is
superstars,
real life. This is the guy that's real life. This is a real life superhero. This guy is who we think can save us from beating up any bad guys. This is who we thought that was. And there's some people that did not like him too much. There's some people that like Randy Savage more. There's some people that like Ultimate Warrior more. There's some people that like Ted DiBiase more. There's some people, and no matter what though, you had a feeling and an opinion or thought about the immortal Hulk Hogan, the red and yellow, the Hulkamaniacs. No matter who you were, there was something to be said. So this podcast, this panel, we've all met, all of us that's been together. This whole, even the people that's not on here, the Stat Kings, the Chris G's, the drunk guys, the Romeos, the Jimmys, everyone. What do we all kind of like have in common? We're kind of all in that minority field. We met through wrestling. We met through wrestling because why? Because it's a big part of our lives, regardless of how you want to cut it. And when arguably the absolute biggest part of that part of life does what is done and completely refuses accountability, you grow up and you start to understand the business more. You start to understand it more. And then you start to realize now I'm starting to peel into the person. And mind you, not one time I brought up anything business. I didn't bring up anything wrestling, anything when it comes to the stuff that he's done to keep himself on top, to be the man, to refusing to lose to people, the swindling, the politics backstage. That is a whole nother conversation.
You stealing from people, WrestleMania 9.
A whole nother conversation.
Whether it be just a couple of things that we've already brought up. You brought up WrestleMania 4. Why does he have to steal the spotlight from Macho Man Randy Savage on the night that it's his win? He comes in with the steel chair to help him get the win. And he's the one that has Elizabeth on his shoulders during that win. The entire Mega Powers Implode is basically a meta storyline, which is about Macho's real life jealousy of anyone getting close to Elizabeth, and also his jealousy of Hulk Hogan, because despite him being the WWF champion, the attention's all on Hogan because he has to do the Mega Powers.
Always, yep. He had to be in the spotlight.
It's really like, when you really think about it, that was like a meta kind of storyline before meta was really a thing. Think about all the people that he would not put over. Roddy Piper feuded with him for like 3-4 years. Never got a victory over Hulk Hogan. But Roddy Piper was about his politics shit, so he never got a win over him either. So we just had non-finishes for one of the biggest rivalries of all time.
That's a fact. That's a whole fact. You're right, SB. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And that
Sting who paid tribute to him, Starrcade 1997.
Yep.
One of the biggest matches ever in WCW history. Hogan refused to lose because Sting didn't have a proper tan and didn't seem into it. So he made Nick Patrick, who was supposed to do a fast count, do a slow regular count, making the whole thing non and void, and they had to redo it 2 months later.
So yeah, for me, nutshell wise, is that a lot of what has transpired is when people's reacting about this stuff. No cap. It's gonna be a lot of stuff that is disappointment, anger, and hurt.
You forgot WrestleMania 9.
So that was the start of me swaying another way because at the time Bret Hart became my favorite wrestler. And when that whole thing transpired, I started to kind of learn a little bit more and be a little bit smarter about what's going on, and started to kind of dislike the person that I was seeing because he had to have everything. And that again, that's another time. But I'm just it's we could literally probably do this entire thing about all the politic and stuff that he's done. But you see, all of that time he spent politicking, all of that time he spent doing things for himself. What about the things that, when it comes to meet and greets, he does those perfectly fine. He's there in attendance for those. When he's there to make a public statement to support people he want to support, he's there for that. But when it comes time to say, I'm sorry for something that I hurt a lot of people with doing and saying, and my actions, and I know I have a big influence on people, where was your presence for any of that? Didn't exist, doesn't exist. There's your feelings in a nutshell why it's so polarizing, because it's like we never got anything, and it's never coming now. It's literally never coming. This is what we go on with forever. is somebody that is not gonna be able to take ownership, that's not able to say like something that we can see you speaking and not you reading off of a piece of paper that your HR partner has given to you to read. All of the other stuff was genuine. That shit came off rip multiple times. That shit came straight out the gut. But this one, nah, we ain't never getting the other one. We ain't never getting the accountability. I'm sorry. Like, you know how far, and I'm sorry would have went just to start the healing process, like to start it. It's crazy. It's crazy that people's egos are so large that they just can't look and say, damn, yo, I've caused a lot of damage.
Yo, the fact that we've been speaking on this so long just tells you.
It's such a layered conversation.
It's so many layers. The onion is like slowly peeling off, and still people will not understand why we are saying these things and where we're coming from, because it's just like JJ said, you have to do your research. And unfortunately, we will say this and we're going to stand behind it. We're going to keep saying it. But no, there's other people that will not see what we're saying. And they're just haters. They just don't understand.
There's not many of them, so that's why I'm not gonna.
No, not even just like I'm not even saying in the chat, like people that will like watch.
Yeah, people that will rewatch. Yeah,
people that will rewatch this, and they will not understand like where we're coming from and how we're speaking. Like you said, we're all minorities that love wrestling, and we're speaking about a person that was a heart of wrestling. No matter what he did,
biggest part of wrestling.
Like he made wrestling.
Undeniably.
He made it possible for wrestlers to be movie stars. Like there's so many layers to like all of this. Like he did all of these things
in the US, that's for sure.
In the US.
I would say like as far as like culturally, like he's as important culturally as like El Santo, who is really like the first wrestler who was doing movies, is to like Lucha Libre and Mexican wrestling.
Right.
Or Antonio Inoki in Japan, who created New Japan Pro Wrestling and was so important and wrestled freaking Muhammad Ali. Like, yeah, Hogan is in that context as far as like culturally influential wrestler. He's up there. He's in the top 3.
And he'll always and he will always be.
And one thing I'm gonna say before I gotta head out, I already told the chat I'm already late for work. I was like, no, this is too important, honestly. Regardless of the fact what you're watching and what you're listening to here, you're gonna see a lot of other reactors and a lot of other shows and a lot of other
people that's been
podcasts.
speaking on it, yeah.
And everybody is going to try to give you the cutest one-liners or give you the cutest quotations and try to give you something, the clickbait. Somebody's going to try to give you clickbait to watch. I will put my life on it that no one, no other show, no other podcast is going to get as genuine or get as thoughtful as what we're saying. And mind you, none of this was pre-scripted. None of this was pre-discussed. No one on any other channel is going to give you just the straight opinions and real feelings with depth without it being some cultural clickbait type of deal.
Couldn't say it better myself, but I know you got to get to work, JJ. So please let everybody know, and any final words you got on Hulk Hogan, and let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, good sir.
On Instagram, you can find me at TrueHill_TopGuyJJ. And on the YouTube channel here, I will be back for Rated Raw Review this coming Tuesday, and 2 weeks from today for True Hill Heat. I think I think this is an ongoing conversation. I don't think this is something that will just like cut dry right here. There's just so many layers to this. There's so many things that we're going to go over, so many like nuggets that, and there's going to be something that we miss. There's going to be something that we don't catch or go through. But I think we did a good job of covering just our genuine, like, raw reactions and feelings to what has transpired and just why we feel the way we feel and why everyone's opinion should be validated to how they feel. Like, the way I grew up to him is not going to be the same way as Josh. It's the same way as SP, the same way as Krssi, the same way as Negro Buck in the chat, same way as Dion in the chat, same way as Chuck Berry's in the chat. It's not going to be the same. So you can't take your opinions and try to sway it into how I feel or how any of us feels. It is literally because we're all different ages, or we're probably all from different cultures and backgrounds. So you got to understand what we're saying, how we're saying it, and why we're feeling how we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So for you as a person, if you're going to try to say anything negative or try to sway a way for us to say something different based on how we feel and how we perceive things when we were the ones that grew up, you yourself grew up with this situation, you need to take a cold, hard look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you may need to do some learning about you.